All right, many thanks for staying tuned to the Front Burners. It's still policy discuss, and this time around we're looking at the federal government trying to reduce poverty by mobilizing private sector development partners for poverty reduction in Nigeria. So according to the story, the government is set to mobilize all relevant agencies of government, particularly the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, to design and also come up with a plan to reduce poverty in Nigeria. So trying to mobilize foreign partners, development agencies for poverty reduction, that means providing like a blueprint so that when they need to do CSR, when they need to the development agencies need to embark on programs, they know what Nigerians need or what the government will want them to come in order to reduce poverty in Nigeria. Doc.
Yeah, I think this is overdue in my thinking. And again, sorry, I have a very penchant love for the intellectual community. And I think that's the starting point, honestly speaking. Now you just imagine that all polytechnic, for example, are creating just entrepreneurs. Poverty will die. Poverty will naturally die. You see, what I feel we should do for a start is that as a country, how are we going to partner with private sector in Nigeria to invest, even if it's for tax rebate, and we are having to partner with Dangote, for example, to invest heavily in producing the manpower his industry needs from the Federal Petroleum University in Delta State. Or we are talking to Olam to invest in the Federal University of Agriculture, Umudike, or the one in Abeokuta. So that the burden of funding education actually leaves the government. We appeal to successful Nigerians to have research chairs in our universities. Now, that will go a long way in producing very skilled entrepreneurs who will multiply in their thousands. And that takes people away from the street. See, we can't be talking about conquering poverty, creating jobs of 77,000 naira for people. It will not work. If you take 77,000 to the market, what will you buy in 1 month?
Talking about a month? You should be talking about a week or two for a family.
For a family, what will you buy? Even for an individual. It will not. It can't pay rent. It can't buy food. It can't buy clothing. I think we should just take this humanitarian thing, all the conversation. The government is itself deliberate to see how we're going to ensure, empower people. So that if our polytechnic, for example, are producing just entrepreneurs, then these entrepreneurs will be able to recruit hands. And then we have artisans that are ready, who are going to say, okay, this 77,000 payment, we can take it away. Let's put it that everybody is taking 5,000 per hour of work. Just like they are doing elsewhere. If you go to UK now, people are paid per hour. Somebody is working for 5 hours, you know that £12 times 5. That gives you 60 pounds. So you can multiply it for 1 month. So I think that's where we should be, so that we can create the incentive for people to work. Handout cannot solve our problem. So when we are thinking about taking people out of poverty, we must be thinking skilling up the population with the requisite proper skill. Everything has to be organized. Everything. Look at our driving school, not properly organized. Just go, take a view around the environment. Common driving school. And driving, for example, is even an international skill.
Yes, it is.
In UAE, all the RTA drivers, they are coming from Philippines, some from Uganda, some come from Ghana, some come, because they hardly will take a Nigerian to drive. And if you have to drive in UAE, you have to go through their driving school. Because something is wrong with what we are doing here. And so that's why I see all manner about driving on the road. I'm just talking about taking driving school. Then you come, for example, into the building sector. The masons, the artisans, those who do POP. See the way even Togo has organized their artisanal environment. Look at Ghana here. So we must get to that point as a country that we deliberately certify people to work. When you are counting steps, you see, no measurement. And so the finishing of the things we do are very poor because people have not been properly trained or skilled to do some certain level of work. And I think it is in those areas we must be thinking about collaboration. And if there's anything government want to do about welfare, of course, they can partner with some places of worship so that people who are really tired, dead, hungry, they can give them food. I don't think we really need the ministry to do some of all these things. And I think the main core ministry can do some of all these things. So for me, is that investment must go to skill acquisition. And when we are talking about skill acquisition, it must be in critical areas. For example, we need good masons who will be able to understand the water, sand, and cement ratio so that our buildings are not falling down. So even if it is vulcanizing along the road.
Mechanics. Also mechanics.
Yes. So we need to invest and see. We don't need to have those things around. We look at where it is working. You see that we send people out, just like Lee Kuan Yew did in Singapore. Or we bring expatriates in here. And it's helping us reproduce these skills. And then you find that poverty will leave the environment. It's natural.
Okay, so let's look at the internally displaced persons camp, the IDP. So when we talk about reducing poverty, so because of insurgency in mostly the northern part of Nigeria that has led to the creation of internally displaced persons camp, you have lots of people there. And those camps have been running for quite some years. Some of them came in as children, but today they are teenagers, and some of them came in as teenagers, today they are youth. We need to look at that as well. So we have the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. I think when we're talking about reducing poverty, that area should be one of the key places we're focusing on. Because you have population there, some of them running into 200,000, just a huge population of youth and women. They need to be empowered because government alone cannot sustain them. And that's why you have well-meaning individuals. You also have corporate associations sometimes supporting with food. But for how long will they continue doing that? Some have been opportuned to be sponsored via scholarship to go to tertiary institutions. Some have graduated, but they're there, not being employed. So we need to make that place a key focus area because the basic necessities of life are food, shelter, clothing, health. Now, when someone has been displaced, that person already is psychologically traumatized. They're in a place where they're not comfortable. Food doesn't come as it should. There's no money, no hope for the future because the person doesn't know what will become of them. And they live in that situation for a number of years. Some of them are already aggrieved with the country, thinking Nigeria has failed them. If it continues, they are more susceptible to be taken over or to be recruited by people who would use them for different reasons. That's how groups that threaten the peace and security of a nation or of Nigeria are formed. Over time, you will find that that grievance that they have, feeling the state has failed them, will be channeled into social vices. So when we're talking about reducing poverty, I think that those places should also be considered. If a skill acquisition will want to do that, but the skills this time around should not be skills that don't really have much economic value today. There are some skills that are outdated, but we find that whenever we're having skills, skill acquisition or empowerment, we still focus on those kind of skills. We still want to empower people in skills that don't have much economic viability. We should focus on the ones that are still very viable. Where we do not have the competence, like Doc said, let's have that. But I think that rather than give handouts to people, because if you give them 5,000 naira today, you would also need to give them 5,000 naira tomorrow. And the money you're giving them is losing value. And the government may be unable to sustain that scheme of giving money to people. So while you may give them money today, in addition to the money, let there be skill acquisition and let there be provision so that for those that will need to set up their own business, when they are done with the skill acquisition, that support is there. That is one way I think we can lift people.
You see a blessing. Even the IDP concept itself, it's quite insulting. Who are these people? Not displaced by natural disaster, by a rank attack army of untrained people who weaponizes ethnicity to create trouble in our country. Because the problem, and I think Emeka Anyanwu spoke to this on Friday at the sister's birthday of Idahosa, that the bigger problem in Nigeria is ethnicization of evil. On Monday, we're talking about in here how NAFDAC has shut about 11,000 shops. And somebody came out, even in the National Assembly, saying that, a particular section of the country is being disempowered. He don't see them as traders who are endangering the life of other people. All he can see is ethnicity. So when we become owners of thieves, armed robbers, criminals, then it becomes very difficult for us to deal with this issue. How will somebody take a knife and kill 3 people and you are saying, it is a particular ethnic tribe? That's a criminal, for God's sake. And nobody should own criminal. And what do we do with criminal? We deal with them according to the law. Somebody has murdered people and you say, it was radicalized. Now we are radicalizing them. You put them into society. They go back again and they are killing people. This is a problem. So why should we have IDP in the first place? And now we are setting up ministry.
For that purpose.
For that purpose. To fritter away resources. All in the name that we are solving problems. When we know that these people who are these criminals live amongst us and they are within us. I think it is hard time that the federal government cedes security to localities so that people are empowered to protect their environment. Because you see, the problem is that we are ethnicizing our trouble. And because people are stereotyping these things, so you take a decision that you want to go and massacre some certain people, and something happened. There was a story that somebody told me, I don't know how true this, it was about when the immediate past president was still a younger officer in the army, and he was a commander in Jos. And of course, when that matter, same thing happened. And he said he chased them into Niger to Chad. And he was charged for conducting international war without approval of the Supreme Military Council. And the man said, well, how can I be a GOC here? And women are slaughtered, children brought out of their womb, and they are cut in pieces, and now will be sleeping here. But if that will mean me leaving the army or even dying, I don't mind. You see, this is the kind of thing that people must begin to think, that when we have to salvage our people, it's not that these people are very well trained, it's because they are protected. Because some people are using them as a tool to access power. And I think that we must muster willpower to deal with this crime. So we are not talking about IDP, we are talking about people who are gainfully working in their farms and they are producing food, not living in that place that is not well built. That even if we are going to have an idea of an IDP, we should borrow from what Europeans are doing. Go to Italy, go to Spain, go to Germany. They have a center where even people who are illegally migrating are gathered together and skills are transferred to them. That even if they are going to be repatriated, they go back home with skills.
And while they are there, they are being productive and not left idle.
So for me, this is not the first time the government has been coming out to sing songs of we're trying to partner the private sector to make sure we mobilize funds to, alleviate poverty from the system. My own misgivings about this is government should only play a very scanty position. The private sector, if they're going to be putting down the money, or if they are going to put down the percentage of the money, they should play the majority role. The private sector. The government must not be allowed to play the majority role. Because we've seen other poverty alleviation programs that the government they've conducted, and we've seen where it has taken us. It is to nowhere. But if the private sector are going to be the drivers and are the main actors in this, then we know that they are going to set up a map, a roadmap, and training templates for the people they are going to train to make sure that these people are going to be self-dependent in the next 2 years, in the next 18 months. They're going to be self-dependent. They'll be able to cater to the needs by virtue of the training that we are going to give them and the start-out pack or money that we are going to give them to establish themselves. Not the one government will start to use as a way to achieve political points and to secure elections come 2027.
All right, so let's hope that this time around the right thing for the people will be done and more Nigerians will be lifted out of poverty. Something Chuks John Rogers mentioned, the game yesterday played between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the national team of Zimbabwe. Well, unfortunately, it ended in a draw. Nigerians like me, like Oyinpreye, like Dr. Idahosa Osamhanze, we're hoping for a win. I did actually hope that this time around we would not need to have calculators to know what the points will be at the end of all matches played so that we know if Nigeria is going to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup or not. But it looks like history again has repeated itself in a very, very sad way. We hope at the end of the day, hopefully, Nigeria gets to go for the 2026 World Cup. Otherwise, just wait and prepare for the next after that. But that's to say that you must take advantage of every opportunity you have to make sure that you prepare. Because failure to prepare means that you have just prepared or you have just planned to fail. You know how they say it, if you fail to plan, that means you have planned to fail. But I hope that will not be your story. It will not be the story of the Super Eagles of Nigeria at the end of the day. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow will be another time on the show. And thanks to those who sent comments. We'll do it again tomorrow. I'm Blessing Eichie, and I have been on the show with Dr. Idahosa Osamhanze, Oyinpreye Krumale as my co-anchors.
Thank you for being there. Focus on improving yourself, not proving yourself to anybody. There's opportunity to win another time. See you tomorrow on the front banners.
I'm Oyinpreye Krumale. Many thanks for watching.